la 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 la. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
There we
There
go.
you go, we got it the second time. And Shabbat shalom to all of you who are joining us online. Welcome, welcome. Once again, I'm Rabbi Rachel, here with Cantor Lauren Adesnik, and of course we are here to celebrate the Bar Mitzvah of Aiden, and we are pumped to be here. Just to share for those online a little bit about our setup, the Cantor and I are in a corner of the sanctuary, making a triangle to our B'nai Mitzvah family up on the bima, and the congregation is in front of them with their masks. So friends, like I said, if you missed it when I said it the first time, go ahead and under your seat, you will find our red siddur. It'll go right to left, and you'll see on the far right side Hebrew, and then in the middle it's English, but it looks funny, and that's because that's the transliteration to help you read the Hebrew. And on the far left you'll see translation of the Hebrew. And so friends, we take lalas, we take claps, we take anything we think God hears, all prayers. So we invite you to join us whenever you like. Should you need to head to a restroom or find an exit, you can do so back over there. There's one right behind us, and there's also one at the very back of the sanctuary. So friends who are with us on Facebook, please take a second to wish one another Shabbat Shalom. The service should be getting pinned into your Facebook feed. And everybody else, just turn to a neighbor right now, a little Shabbat Shalom, and then we'll come back together.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Ya la 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 la. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Ya la 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 la. Last time. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
We'll turn to page 5. It's my pleasure to invite forward to our choir mic, proud grandparents Gail and Jeffrey Wilkowski. For the presentation of our Talit.
Okay. As this tallis is draped around your shoulders, may the voices of the generations speak to you.
May you know that there is a people,
a rich heritage to which you belong, a sacred place from which you are connected to all who dwell on earth.
As you are embraced in the folds of this tallis,
so too are you wrapped in the living embrace of your family
community,
and this holy congregation. May the simplest of garments always be of God's abiding and sheltering presence. As you recite the blessing and wrap yourself in this tallis,
we proudly watch and celebrate with you as you accept your place
in a chain of our tradition.
Beautiful, thank you. I know this is a wonderfully emotional time. And Aiden, yes, let's go ahead and have that talit held up for you. And then you'll recite the blessing before we put it on.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu v'kitatef batzitzi.
Amen. All right, and we get that wrapped on around. And like last night, all day, today, we are so pleased to have made it to this moment, to this exact day and time, so that Aiden could lead us in prayer. And so we mark this occasion with Shechianu, page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam הזמן הזה.
Page 6, Aiden will lead us in his prayer for becoming bar mitzvah.
God be with me on this occasion of my bar mitzvah. Help me make meaningful the covenant you now establish with me. Sustain me with a sense of holiness. Inspire me and desire to be special. I do not ask that you make my life easy, resolve my problems, map out the directions of my life. I ask only that you strengthen me the desire to mold and shape my life in accordance with your will. In this hour of my bar mitzvah, I invoke your blessings upon my parents and friends and all who have loved and cared for me and have brought me to this time of gladness. Give them joy and fulfillment in my growth and my achievement. You who turn the hearts of children to their parents and the hearts of parents to their children.
Wonderful. So we'll turn now to page 10, where we'll find our afternoon prayer of Ashrei. And this, can you turn me down a little? There's feedback. There's some feedback. This prayer of Ashrei, it begins, happy are those who dwell in your house. They forever praise you. And the house that they're talking about this house, to be in a sanctuary together, to be happy and joyous. And I know Aiden can't see your smiles behind your mask, so you have to smile extra with your eyes today as he leads us in Ashrei.
Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od yehalelucha selah.
Ashrei ha'am shekacha lo, Ashrei ha'am she'Adonai Eloha.
Tehillah leDavid, aromimcha Elohai hamelech, va'avaracha shimcha le'olam va'ed.
Bechol yom avarchecha, v'halal shimcha le'olam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai umhulal me'od, v'li dilato ein cheker.
Dor ledor yeshavach ma'asecha, ugvurotecha yagidu.
Hadar kavod hodecha, v'divrei niflotecha asicha.
Ve'ezuz norotecha yomeru, ugduatecha asaprena.
Zecher rav tucha yabiu, v'tzikatecha yeranenu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech apayim ugdol chesed.
Tov Adonai lakol, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav.
Yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yevarchucha.
Kevod malchutecha yomeru, uvruotecha yedaberu.
Lehodia livnei ha'adam gevurota, ugvod hadar malchuto.
Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umem shatecha bechol dor v'dor.
Somech Adonai lechol hanoflim, v'zokef lechol hakefufim.
Einecho elecha yedaberu, v'tanoten lechem et ochlam beito.
Poteach et yadecha, umaspia lechol chai ratzon.
Tzadik Adonai bechol derachav, v'chased bechol ma'asav.
Karov Adonai lechol korav, lechol asher yikra'uhu ve'emet.
Ritzon yiret av, yaseh, ve'et shavatam yishma ve'yoshi'em.
Shomer Adonai et kol ohava, ve'et kol harshayim yashmid.
Tehillah Adonai yedaber pi, vivarech kol basar, shem kodsho le'olam va'ed.
Va'anachnu nevarech ya, me'ata ve'ad olam, hallelujah.
We turn to page 13 as we come to our first responsive English reading, English prayer. I want us to remember that the energy that we put out to Aiden, it's like a little mirror here that you give him energy, he gives you energy, you give him that energy back. Our prayer at the bottom of page 13.
May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for fellowship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit indifference, selfishness, and harshness.
Synagogue be for all who enter the
Doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We turn to page 15 and we rise for our call to worship, Baruch Hu.
Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 ya la lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 ya la lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai la lai lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed. HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed.
On the front inside cover of your prayer book, you will find Ma'ariv Aravim. And this is a prayer, Aiden, about transitions. It's about creation, and it's about moving from light to darkness so that in the morning we can move from that darkness and into that light. And throughout it all, we are calling on God for a transformation, because the world doesn't keep going if the sun doesn't go down and come back up in some way. And here in Atlanta, it's not quite down yet, but we call on God to help us to transition, to move through the day so that this day can be yours to become bar mitzvah. And so we are with you on this journey today, joining in words of Ma'ariv Aravim as we bring on the evening.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, u'bitfunah meshaneh itim, u'mahalif et hazmanim, sader et hakokavim, b'mishmerotehem v'arakia kirtano. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshef v'choshef mipnei or. Umevir yom umevi laila, umavdil bain yom ubain laila. Adonai Sevaot Shemo. El Hai Bekayam Tamid Imloch Aleinu Le'olam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai
Ma'ariv
HaMa'ariv
Aravim. Wonderful. Turning for those in the Kahal back in our prayer books to page 16. And this prayer, Aiden, is all about, as it tells us, God's abundant love. And it calls on us to cling to God's mitzvot, to make our hearts one. And this is a tricky thing because we're also asking God to keep us from shame and humiliation and from stumbling, which as a teenager is a little tricky, this part of your life. And so this prayer, though, it's that comfort prayer, or at least it can be, that says, no matter what, through the stumbling, through feeling a little lost, that God's abundant love is still there for you and it's always within reach. So we join together Ahava Rabbah, page 16.
Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu Chemla Gidola Vitera Hamalta Aleinu Ba'avor Avotenu Ve'imotenu Shebachu Vecha Vatlamdain Hukei Hayin Kain Techoninu Utlamdainu Hamrachem Rachem Aleinu Vetain Belibinu Lahavin Uhaskil Lishmoa Lilmo Ulamed Lishmor Vila'aso Okayem Ekol Divrei Talmud Toratecha Be'ahava Baruch atah Adonai
Habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Page 18, we feel our feet on the floor, perhaps fluttering, our eyes closed. We steady ourselves, declaring God's oneness in love. Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We remain on page 18, Aiden, for words of Ve'ahavta, which we sort of emphasized last night. Do you remember why? What was the object that we talk about in the Ve'ahavta? Yeah, you do it. I wouldn't ask you if I didn't think you knew the answer. I wouldn't do that to you. Yes, there was this, exactly. That there is this call to put signs on our doors. And it's not just about the reminder to us, it's a reminder to anybody who passes by our home or our room or our kitchen. You can have them lots of places, just not the bathroom. But anywhere that you put that mezuzah, it's that reminder to be your best self. And when it's somebody else's mezuzah, it is a reminder that there's somebody out there who is at least just a little bit like you, and that you can always call on them in community when things are tough. Be on the lookout for those mezuzot, and may they continue to guide you in the intention of this prayer, which is to be your best self and to live out those Jewish values that I know you already live out so much today. So Adam, why don't you lead us in Ve'ahavta?
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh Asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha v'betecha uv'lechtecha v'derech u'shokbecha u'v'tkumecha u'kshartam le'ot ayadecha V'hayu letotafot bein einecha U'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha U'visharecha Leman tizkeru V'asitem et kol mitzvotai V'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiyot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem, amen.
On page 19, it's my pleasure to invite Ford Mira and Rick Catcher to help lead us in this responsive prayer.
Adonai, our God, you took us out of slavery in Egypt. You made us free.
You were in the courage with which we overcame 40 years of desert wandering.
Even today, you are in the hope that, like a beam of light, brightens the darkness of suffering and despair.
You are in the love that creates, protects, forgives.
Standing at the sea, we felt your goodness and your love, and we sang a new song to you. And still today, we sing that song.
We praise you, Adonai, Redeemer of Israel. Thank you. Friends, we turn to the back inside cover for Mi Chamocha, the evening version, rejoicing in song, as it is our story of moving from slavery toward freedom. Mi Chamocha.
Let's try that one more time. Ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha le'el tarba kodesh, norati hila tosei fele, norati hila tosei fele. Adonai imo ve'yom ha'avai, Adonai imo le'olam ha'ed. Ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. ונאמר כי פעל אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Page 21, we rise for our central standing prayer, the Amidah, connecting us generations past and generations yet to be. Aiden, whenever you're ready.
Adonai
Ufia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my mouth, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rab le'Hoshia.
מוריד אתה, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מחמך בעל גבורות, ומדום אליו, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל.
Page 23, if Diane and Bill Wilmot will come up to our microphone to lead us in our responsive prayer.
Many are the ways of the holiness, varied are its paths.
There is holiness when we strive to be true to the best we know.
There is holiness when we are kind to others.
There is holiness when we strive for harmony in all of our relationships.
There is holiness when people of different backgrounds work together for a common future.
There is holiness when people seek justice and struggle for righteousness.
There is holiness when people create lasting poetry or song or philosophy.
There is holiness when we forget what divides us and remember what unites us.
Holy, holy is Adonai our God.
Kedusha, page 24.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב היה נביאך, וקרא זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. Hallelujah. Repeat after me. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור נגיד דור לך. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור נגיד דור לך. ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש. בשבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש, לא ימוש לעולם ועד. Here comes your part. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור נגיד גול לך. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור נגיד גול לך. כי המלך גדול, גדול וקדוש, גדול וקדוש אתה. כי המלך גדול, גדול וקדוש, גדול וקדוש אתה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. If we stay on page 25, and Aiden, if you'll lead us in this responsive prayer.
From of old, the Jewish people have seen Shabbat as a unique gift, a token of its covenant with God.
Shabbat is the most cherished creation of the Jewish spirit. It mirrors the essence of the Jewish soul.
Shabbat has never been merely a day of rest from labor. It has always been a break in a routine of everyday life.
Shabbat is a symbol of liberation and triumph, of the holy over the profane, of spirit over matter.
In every age, Shabbat afforded the Jew of a sacred retreat, a haven of safety, a fountain of new strength and perpetual renewal.
Shabbat nurtures family life in love and harmony. A home at peace welcomes Shabbat with joy.
Shabbat is a part of nature's design, the very purpose of creation. All that was created attained its fulfillment in Shabbat.
Shabbat is our hope, the calm haven where all the weary find rest. With the coming of Shabbat, redemption and peace enter the world. As we prepare for Yismichu on page 26, I'd like to invite our B'nai Mitzvah students joining us online. Let us know you're out there by sharing with us something joyous going on in your life this Shabbat. And if you're here in the congregation, you too can think about the things that have brought you joy since last night and into today as we join together words of Yismichu, page 26. There you go.
There we go. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat, we sing Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Mekadesheh, mekadesheh shavei Shabbat, kulam yismehu v'yitanu tilecha Shabbat. Here we go. Yismehu v'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismehu v'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Uvashvili ratzita bo v'kidasho Shabbat, chemdan yoni, oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Zecher, 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 l'maaseh v'reshit Shabbat. Zecher l'maaseh v'reshit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat.
Page 27, it's my pleasure to invite forward Aaron and Jana Seskin to lead us in this responsive prayer of miracles.
Yeah, cool. Our world is full of wonders and miracles, but all it takes is one little hand placed before our eyes, and we see nothing.
But miracles are all around us and within us. We are each walking miracles.
When we are bruised, what miracle heals us? When we see beauty, what miracle elevates us? When we hear music, what miracle moves us?
When we see suffering, what miracle saddens us? When we give and receive love, what miracle warms us? When we pray, what miracle renews us?
Every springtime is a miracle. Every snowflake is a miracle. The thoughts we think, the words we speak, the hopes we cherish, each is a miracle.
For all these miracles, may your name be exalted and blessed forever and ever. Thank you. And Lori and Sam Seskin, if you could lead us on page 28.
Our God, we know there is no greater gift than peace. Help us to find the peace that comes from the love of your Torah.
Inspire us to banish hatred, war, bloodshed, and bigotry. Help us to establish forever one human family, doing your will in love and peace.
Help us to find peace in ourselves and among all people. O God of peace, bless us with peace.
You have given us the power, O God, to bring peace and justice into the world. May we always love peace and pursue it, and love our fellow creatures. Fill us with kindness, wisdom, and love. Then shall we learn to live in peace. Blessed is God, teacher of peace.
Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha, sim, shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha.
Take a few moments to continue our prayers for peace, our own personal prayers, and we'll join together once again in a few moments on page 30. So take a few breaths, set aside this time for your own prayer.
On page 30, Yihiyu the Ratzon Imrefi. May the words of our mouths, the meditations of our hearts, be acceptable to you, O God, our rock and our redeemer. Yihiyu the Ratzon Imrefi, Vegyo libi lefaneh.
There we go, Joel and Francine. If you will share for us this parent blessing, page 31.
May you live to see your world fulfilled. May your destiny be for worlds still to come, and may you trust in generations past and yet to be.
May your heart be filled with intuition, and your words be filled with insight. May songs of praise ever be upon your tongue, and your vision be on a straight path before you.
May your eyes shine with the light of holy words, and may your face reflect the brightness of the heavens. May your lips ever speak wisdom, and your fulfillment be in righteousness.
A Jewish home opens its heart, and its link to the generations is proclaimed. Today, our child, nearly grown, is called to read from the Torah and is welcomed into the congregation. May this moment be blessed.
Amen. Hug, hug, kiss, kiss, all those wonderful things. We're going to be on page 32, and we're about to enter our Torah service. So I would love for our grandparents who are present, Helene Seskin, Gail Wilkowski, and Jeffrey Wilkowski, if you guys would head up towards the microphone area where that choir mic is for our generations of Torah. And on, like I said, bottom of page 32, if everybody will rise for a little Ki Mitzion.
Ki Mitzion Tetzei Torah, Ki Mitzion Tetzei Torah, Udevar Adonai Mirushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Le'amo Yisrael B'Kedushato.
All right. Joel, this is your time, man. Time to pick up that Torah.
Oh, yeah.
And as you're picking that up, we recognize that we have in front of us 3 wonderful and loving grandparents, and that with us in spirit smiling down upon this sacred moment is another grandparent, is Theodore Seskin, who Aiden, I understand that you were named after. And so I want you to look at your grandparents, give them a little wave. There it is, okay, Look at your dad and look at your mom. Look at your little brother. And now, Aiden, I want you to look a little bit past your grandparents, just over their shoulders. And I want you, there's more loving people there, but they're not the ones I'm about to talk about. I want you to imagine your grandparents' parents, your great-grandparents, okay? And I want you to imagine their parents and their parents and their parents, and we can tell where this is going, that line that brought you to this moment, Aiden, it goes pretty far. It's going to wrap around our sanctuary. It's going to head back out to the shift playground through the woods. There's a lot of people who had to exist so that you could be with us today. That's a lot of power. The Jewish people have been doing this for a really, really long time, and today is your day to join us in this sacred chain of tradition. So, Joel, if you will please have Francine kiss our Torah, and then Aiden, you go ahead and get comfy with it. You feel comfortable?
Yeah.
The weight of our people is heavy, that's right. All right, page 33.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai Iti, Uneromima Shemo Yachdav. And now the Seskin family may undress the Torah. Lecha Adonai Hagidula, V'Hagivura, V'Hatiferet, V'Hanetzach, V'Havod. Ki hu b'shamayim u'ba'aretz, Ki hu b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha Adonai Hamelacha, V'Hamitnaseh, L'chol erosh.
All right, friends, please be seated. Although, Helene, don't go too far. Oh, perfect. You're good. Have a seat. You're just going to have to stand again in a moment. But so, friends, if you want to grab and follow along, underneath your seats is that other blue book that I didn't have you grab last night. It's going to be the one that says Torah or Tanakh on it. It's going to be the heavier one. And you're going to be on page 1483. We are nearing the end of our book of Deuteronomy. I think it's the 13th of Elul, which means Rosh Hashanah Tishrei is just around the corner, which means we're almost done reading our cycle of Torah. And so Aiden is going to chant for us from chapter 24, verses 10 through 22. And this whole portion he's going to teach us about a little bit later, but it's for those of you who like rules, this is your Torah portion. There are 74 commandments in this Torah portion, so see if you can count them all while he chants.
Mm-hmm. So it is my pleasure to call up to our microphone Aiden's grandmother, Helene Seskin. Ta'amod Chaya bat Moshe la'aliyah la'Torah.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorah.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai. Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Habarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torto. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ki tashe v're'acha mashat me'uma lo tavo el beito la'avo avoto bahutz ta'amon v'ha'ish asher ata nosher vo yotzi elecha et ha'avot hachutza ve'im ish ani hu lo tishkav et Avoto Ashev Tashiv Lo Et Ha'avo Kivo Hashemesh V'shachav Usamato Uverechecha Uha Tihye Sedaka Lifnei Adonai Elohecha.
Wonderful. Yasher Koach. And our blessing for after.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'yachei olam natan b'tolcheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
Oh, Aiden? Oh my gosh, I'm so impressed. You just want to keep going.
Just want to keep going.
Before you keep us going, we are going to call up Fred and Diane Rich to bless our second Aliyah. Ya'amdu Pinchas ben Moshe Dana bat Avraham la'aliyah la'Torah.
Baruch hu Adonai Habarach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Lo tashoch sahir ani ve'evion me'achecha o migerecha asher ve'artzecha bish'arecha be'yomo titen secharo ve'lo tavo alav hashemesh ki ani hu shon. Velo yikra alecha el Adonai, v'hayafecha hey. Lo yumetu avot avanim uvanim lo yumetu al avot ish becheto yumatu.
Beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher koach. Beautiful. So it is now my pleasure to call up to our Torah very proud parents, Joel and Francine, to bless our Torah with this third aliyah. Ya'amdu ben Yamin ben Tanchun Frumachana bat Yona la aliyah la Torah.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevarach.
Baruch Adonai havarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamevarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Lo tateh mishpat ger yatom, velo tachavol beged almanah. V'zacharta ki eved hayita b'Mitzrayim vayiftecha Adonai Elohecha misham al ken anochi mitzavecha la'asot et hadavar hazeh. Ki tiksor kitzirecha v'sadecha v'shachachta omer basadeh lo tashuv v'kachto lager layatom v'la'almanah yihye leman Yevarechacha Adonai Elohecha b'chol ma'aseh yadecha.
Beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chaye olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Hug, hug, kiss, kiss. So, Aiden, before you make the blessing for your aliyah, I'm going to have you sit for a moment. And I think where I can see you best, and you can probably see me, is actually right back. Yes, right there. Yep. That way I can look at you. Beautiful. Okay. So, you might be wondering, why is Cantor asking me to sit down? There's a very good reason. I promised you this past Thursday you would find out today. So, Aiden, you have been leading us so beautifully in prayer this afternoon and chanting so beautifully. And you might think that you've only been moving towards this moment maybe just for this hour that we've been here together, or maybe just for the 6 months that you've been preparing for your bar mitzvah. But actually, you have been moving towards this moment since the day you were born. And what you're about to do in a moment is actually become a bar mitzvah. And by making the journey from a seated position to standing before the Torah, you're really demonstrating that ascending into becoming a bar mitzvah. Aliyah means to ascend. So that's what you are showing us. And you're not only demonstrating that moving upward in a physical way, but you are also moving, I like to say, both upward and deeper into your Judaism, into who you are becoming as an active Jewish young man in our congregation. So it is my pleasure now to call you up to the Torah as an official bar mitzvah. You can come on up. Yamar habachur habar mitzvah Tanchun ben Benyamin v'fru machana la'aliyah laTorah. Baruch Adonai habarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai habarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher
Asher bachar banu
v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ki tavot zeitecha lo tifa'er acharecha lager layatom v'la'almana ihiyeh. Ki tivsor karmecha lo te'oleo acharecha lager layatom v'la'almana ihiyeh. V'zacharta ki eved hayita be'eretz Mitzrayim al ken anochi mitzavecha la'asot et hadavar hazeh.
Beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Big hug, big kiss. You did it. All right, so Mom and Dad and Aiden, if you guys could all sort of wrap around one another so that Aiden, I can give you a special blessing for your spiritual growth. Friends, we're on page 35. Mishaberach avotenu ve'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech et Tanchun ben Benyamin v'fru machana, shehigia lemitzvot v'al'a laTorah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishmerehu v'chayehu v'chonen et libo l'hiot shalem im Adonai Elohav v'agot b'torato lalechet b'drachav v'lishmor mitzvotav v'yimtzachem v'seichel tov b'einei Elohim v'adam v'nomar Amen, which means, Aiden, may God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you, Aiden Theodore, who you have come for an aliyah upon the age of mitzvot. And so we ask that the Holy One guard you and sustain you, helping you to be wholehearted in your faith, studying God's Torahs, walking in God's ways, and fulfilling God's mitzvot. May you find favor before God and before all people. And let us say, Amen. All right, so we have the cover on our Torah. Perfect. And so now, are you going to do the wimple? That's fine. Yep. Perfect. Awesome. And Aiden, if you want to get your Devar Torah out for us and get nice and set up for that. All right, so Aiden's got a few words to teach us, which he's going to do slowly.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
The parashah this week is Ki Tetzei from the book of Deuteronomy. In this portion of the parashah, Moses is speaking to the Israelites before they entered Israel. The speech was about the covenant with God and how God promised to bless them if they are obedient. This Torah portion covers over 74 commandments. These commandments lay out the rules of a great civilization. Some of the commandments help with how to treat your neighbors, how to handle loan repayments, how to pay employees, marriage, family, divorce, childcare, and charity. Out of all the themes in the parasha, the theme I found most interesting was not to be indifferent to your community or even the world. One of these commandments that stood out to me was represented by this theme. This theme was represented by, if your friend or neighbor loses something and you find it, you must bring it back. If you do not know who the owner is, then you must take proper care of the thing until the owner claims it. It does not matter if it is a stranger or a neighbor or someone you know that lives down the street. Moses said in the final sentence at the end of this verse, you must not remain indifferent. As I mentioned in the beginning of this Devar, there are over 74 commandments to go through. And while I know you guys are dying to hear every single one of them, I have decided to instead talk about a couple that are important for me to learn. At the beginning of the story, Moses knows he's about to die and won't be able to make it to Israel. So he gives a number of speeches. In one of those speeches, he talks about how you should always be kind and show concern and sympathy for another in order to make a good civilization. Essentially, Moses was teaching the Israelites that indifference does not make a strong community. For example, in one commandment, he states that if you find an ass or an ox, then you must find the person it belongs to and give it back. You also must take proper care of the thing until you find the owner. To me, it means if you find something wrong or misplaced, then you need to take action. The community depends on people who act when something is not right. Thus, you should not be indifferent. So when I think about how I can fulfill this commandment, I think that I can be more observant to the world around me. That means when something feels wrong, I should try to understand the problem, ask questions, do research on the problem, read about it, and seek advice. Typical Emanu-El asks each bar bat mitzvah student to perform a mitzvah project. This means I was motivated to act on my Jewish values and not to be indifferent to the community and world. For my mitzvah projects, I wanted to help animals, and I knew I wanted to make dog treats. I'm working with an organization called Kids Boost. I discovered the Ellen Fund, which helps endangered species by providing animal sanctuaries. Animal sanctuaries are needed to provide endangered species a home so that no predators will hunt them. To help the Ellen Fund, I need to raise money and awareness. I had to figure out how to raise money for the organization, and that's where I got the idea of dog treats. I like dogs. Okay, I love dogs. But not as much as cats. But I knew dog treats would sell better. So I went onto Google and learned about how to make healthy dog treats that cats will like too. We set up a stand at the Tucker Farmers Market where I sold my delicious dog treats and talked to people about the Ellen Fund. In the end, we raised close to $1,000 for the fund. I decided I couldn't sit back and be indifferent to this problem in the world, so I made a difference. With help from Kristen Williams at Kids Boost, she was able to help me with my mitzvah project, and along the way, I learned stuff like managing money, and she helped me gain more confidence into talking to new people. I also learned that sometimes all you need to do is ask, and people step up. Of course, that might just be because I'm a handsome kid, but still. While studying for my bar mitzvah, I am asked to understand what it means to be a bar mitzvah. Rabbi Max taught me that being a bar mitzvah means that you are becoming an adult in the Jewish community and that I can do things like lead in prayer. But I'll be honest, this was already pretty scary. However, I do like celebrating the Jewish holidays with my family, and being a bar mitzvah means helping more during those events, like leading my family in Hamotzi or helping lead the Passover Seder. In studying the Torah, I'm also able to better understand what it means to be Jewish. The Torah taught me that to be an adult in the Jewish community means to not be indifferent to the people around me, that the community is stronger when the people in it are nice and look out for each other. There are a lot more people who care about others than people that only care about themselves. I think the way positivity can spread is by talking about more good than bad, because positivity spreads positivity. Though I probably might not find someone's ox on the street, we should still apply the basic principles that Moses was teaching, and that we should care and look out for one another. I've seen examples of people looking out for each other every day. I've seen neighbors who have looked after each other when they are gone. An example would be that when one of our neighbors was out of town, we would walk their dog, take out their trash, and also collect their mail. When my family is out of town, they do the same. At the farmer's market selling dog treats, we didn't see rude people, but had people donate and ask about the Ellen Fund. I challenge each of you to look at your own community and see where you too can live in the values of this parasha. I had a lot of help getting ready for my bar mitzvah. First, I'd like to thank the Temple Emanu-El clergy. Rabbi Spike always has a can-do attitude and is a fun storyteller. Cantor Desnick always sounds so fun and happy, and I like how easy it is to learn my prayers on most mitzvah tools. However, I will never be able to sing as good as you as long as I'm in puberty. And Joanne Lipschutz for always being really helpful while Cantor was out. And finally, my biggest thank you is to the dynamic duo of Rabbi Rachel and Rabbi Max. I really wouldn't have gone this far without your help in learning my prayers and understanding my parashah. And finally, my family, Sam. He's a funny, smart aleck, and I really appreciate the fact that you never give up on trying to annoy me. But joking aside, I couldn't have asked for a better brother. I also wouldn't be here without my mom. Seriously, she gave birth to me, so I appreciate that she did that. She is very caring and has helped me with getting prepared for today. If not for her, I probably would have done a different mitzvah project, because let's be real here, my dad nearly isn't as organized. Sorry, Dad, it's true. My mom always makes a list, but without my dad, the house would be less fun. My dad has helped me so much with my other studies up to this point, and as I work with my Devar Torah and my Hebrew prayers. I love you all so much. Thank you for helping me make this a special day for me. And finally, really finally this time, thank you for coming to share this day with me. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Yasher Koach. Mom and Dad, come back up. Hugs, hugs. Kisses, kisses. You see the theme going on here? And after we get in some love, we will conclude our Torah service on page 39. I'll ask that we please rise for Eitz Chaim.
Eitz Chaim hi למחזיקים בה ותומכך נאושה דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש חדש ימינו חדש ימינו כקדם.
Please be seated. Now, this is what we talked to you, Aiden. You don't get to say it yet, sorry. And Aiden, it has been a pleasure. I'm going to be sad that we won't see each other every week. But I got to tell you, I don't think I've ever had a student show up like 25 minutes early to every single lesson. There was a moment when I wondered if you were just 10 minutes late thinking that we started 30 minutes earlier. But then I just discovered that's who you were. You're an early is on time is late kind of guy. I appreciate that. I am too. And, you know, showing up early, it does mean something. It means that you're a responsible kid. I don't know if mom or dad were, you know, nudging you to go hop online or if you were doing it on your own. But each time you were there, Aiden, you brought your whole self. And I still want you to figure out what you learn at school every day and what important questions you asked. Because I know it's not nothing, and I know you didn't not ask an important question. And Aiden, that's what I want you to do, is to ask questions in life. I want you to take that kind, sweet heart of yours, to share it with the world, to continue the curiosity that I know you hold, and to just be your best self, to keep up your health and your body and don't break any more bones or anything like that. But honestly, it's been so wonderful to get to know you this year, and I wish you just all the best in your studies, in your gymnastics, and of course, this is not the end. This is just another step along the way of your Jewish journey, and all of your clergy look forward to continuing to study with you in the years to come.
Eden, so for most of your process, I wasn't there. It was not, usual for me, because usually I get to meet with all of our B'nai Mitzvah kids. So I want to talk about, though, how I've really seen you just grow so much over this past 2 weeks, that I got to work with you and hear you chant Torah. And I know that this was really scary, right? You mentioned it in your speech too. And you and I talked about it being really scary. And remember we said the power of the Torah, right, can make you kind of go off track sometimes. It could make you feel a little scared, be overwhelmed. But what you've done today, you took that power of the Torah and you just harnessed it, and you kind of like rode it like a wave, and led us so beautifully, but not just beautifully. In all that you did today, whether it was leading us in prayer, or chanting so beautifully from Torah, or sharing your words of Torah, you have done everything with such purpose, and really made sure that we heard every single word of your chanting, that we could really experience Torah as you experienced it. So my charge for you is to keep doing all of the amazing things that you do in your life with that sense of purpose and with that sense of that power of the Torah always guiding you. Mazel tov.
All right, so Sam, you get to sneak in there too a little bit, but arms around each other as we offer once more that priestly benediction.
Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka.
May the light of God shine upon you all and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom.
Aiden, wherever you go, from whatever bars you swing, from whatever rings you hold, may you always feel God's presence with you, and may you always, always, always have the most important gift, the gift of peace. Together we all say, Amen. All right, Mom and Dad, I think you might have a few lovely words to share.
Sure.
So Sam, do you want to take a sip break? You can take a sip break. Aiden, you can't. No, but seriously, no, but really, Aiden, come up here. They're talking to you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all for coming on this day of my son's bar mitzvah and sharing this special day with Aiden. And for those of you who are streaming that couldn't make it, you are missed, and we look forward to seeing you all soon. Aiden, your mom and I are so proud about how well you did today. But more than that, we are proud of the young man that you are becoming. We know just how hard you have worked over these last 7 months in preparing for today, and now you can finally breathe a sigh of relief. I remember years ago when you started gymnastics, Coach Nathan told us that gymnasts tend to excel in their studies because of their hard work ethic and ability to focus. These qualities have really shown through these last few months. Since January, you've not only had your school studies, but your time in the gym has increased. You were part of your chorus musical. You had to put together a little mitzvah project, and oh yeah, devote multiple hours a week in preparation for your bar mitzvah. And it goes without saying that you had to do all this while dealing with the pandemic. While we sometimes got the typical teenager attitude, looks of derision, scoffs, eye rolls, Lots and lots of eye rolls. You never once complained that there was too much to do or questioned why you had to do any of it.
You are kind and good-hearted, and it is evident by the compliments they receive from your teachers and mentors. This past year, you won the Random Acts of Kindness Award and Cougar of the Year Awards at school because you have demonstrated that you are a kind-hearted and gentle soul. And although you and your brother fight like cats and dogs, you genuinely care and want the best for him. And even though you have separate interests, you always ask how Sam's soccer team did or how he played during the game. You welcome everyone with open arms, and you are loyal to your friends. For example, when you learned one of your friends was being bullied, your first reaction was to come to his aid. Additionally, you have a very diverse group of friends, and you want to make sure everyone is treated as equals and welcomed by all. And this speaks for your kindness and compassion for others. Your love for animals is also evident in the selection of your mitzvah project and your strong desire to help endangered species. But for the animals closer to home, your bond with Suki is not as close as mine, but you're a close second. You always make sure she's taken care of and get lots of belly rubs.
We really feel like your Devar Torah, and the lesson you pulled from it also speaks to who you're becoming. The theme you pulled out was to not be indifferent to your community and to those around you. The fact that you want to continue with your Jewish education after your bar mitzvah shows that you are taking an active role in learning more and connecting to your Jewish heritage. We look forward to sharing more Shabbat dinners, Passover Seders with you, and learning from you as you grow. Congratulations and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Big hugs. More kisses. And yep, Sam, good move. Sam, if you'll help your family head up to the Ark. Yep, guys, go ahead towards our Ark, and everyone else, we're going to rise for Aleinu on page 40. Yep, you can go ahead and open it. Go ahead, Sam. There you go.
Here we go. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'teit gidula le'otzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, Mocher HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'nemar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech al kol haaretz, V'yom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo,
Go ahead and close our Ark. And Seskin family, I'll invite you back down to the Amudim congregation. I will invite you to please take a seat. Before concluding our service, it is of tradition to bring into a space, especially at times of joy, those who we wish were celebrating with us, but who have died in either recent days or in seasons past. And so on this day, we especially think of the following, who each of them, I encourage you to imagine their smiling face and feel their presence as I read their names. We remember Theodore Seskin, Libby Seskin, Frank Seskin, Shirley Rich, Maurice Rich, Helen Wolkowski, Sam Wolkowski, Leonard Gerber, and Lorraine Gerber. If you are in the first 30 days mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise so we may recognize you. If you're in the first year mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise so we may recognize you. If on this Shabbat you are observing a yahrzeit, a death anniversary of a loved one, we invite you to please rise so we may recognize you. And if it is your custom, as it is here at Temple Emanu-El, we ask that you please rise for Kaddish Yatom, our Mourner's Kaddish, page 41. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah. Ve'alma, Divrach, Hirute, V'amlich Malchute, B'chayachon, Uvyomechon, Uvchaye, Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, Uvizman Kariv, V'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam U'amei Omaya. Yitbarach, V'ishtabach, V'itpa'ar, V'tromam, V'itnaseh. Vit Adar, Vit Ale, Vit Halal, Shemei Dukudashra Barichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Osei shalom b'romav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen.
Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom and Mazel Tov. At this time, we are going to form